Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Draven Who Games, where today we will finally be getting around to my review of Fallout 76. I feel like I've actually gathered enough gameplay experience now to, give you guys a full review of this very controversial game, and I hope that this video will help you decide if 76 is for you or not. And with that, let's go ahead and get right into the review. Alright, so the first thing I would like to discuss with you guys is the frame rate of this game, because I know that is a concern with many online games, and this one in particular. This was originally going to be a lot more of a sour note towards 76, because on my first days of playing the beta, I was getting about 15 frames or lower, and it was not good. Though, on the final day of the beta, it really did change my mind, and now that the game is out, I can tell you with great pleasure that Fallout 76 runs at a pretty near consistent 60 frames, which is really nice. The game runs really smooth, so if frame rate is one of your worries about this game, I would not be concerned, as long as you have a relatively good internet connection. Like, mine isn't great, but it still works and it still runs very well. So if you're a frame rate guy, then I wouldn't worry about it. It runs at a pretty good 60 frames. So, yeah. Alright, so next up is graphics. And this is another controversial topic of the game, but for me, it is not an issue. The game does look very similar to Fallout 4. It uses a lot of the same assets, as it is running on the same engine. Some people may get mad at that, but I find it completely understandable, and I don't find it annoying in the slightest. I mean, Fallout New Vegas looks very similar to Fallout 3 and does reuse a lot of its assets as well. So in that way, it's really not that different from the transition from Fallout 3 to Fallout New Vegas. It's a very good looking game, though. They've really stepped up their lighting, effects, and the game just looks absolutely gorgeous, and I'm just running it on medium settings, and it still looks better than Fallout 4, even when I was running mods. But again, it's not a drastic change from 4, but it is appreciated what they have changed, without making it too different. But I'm glad that they ended up, focusing on getting the game stabilized rather than trying to go for a whole another visual style. I think they made the right decision there. And yeah, as far as the creation engine goes, it looks really good, so I wouldn't be concerned about graphics either. They look really good even on medium, even though they do look very similar to Fallout 4 in that aspect. Alright, so now we're getting right into the more bulk of the video, I guess. And the first thing I will be discussing is the combat of the game. The combat is very good in this game. It is similar to Fallout 4, but it does have a lot of improvements. Melee combat in particular feels very nice and smooth, and it feels like it should. In fact, melee is one of my preferred methods in this game. I usually take it over using, actual, guns in this game. The gunplay is good, just like Fallout 4's, and I think it's a little better than 4's probably. But I really am enjoying using melee weapons in this game, and because that brings me to my next point. VATS is a lot more effective when you're in close range. So most of the time when you're in close range, you're using melee weapons instead of a gun. So that does help. But VATS does help in the gunplay as well. It is just weird to get used to a live, a real-time VATS. But it's really not as big of a difference as you may think. It still feels like the VATS it just doesn't freeze time. But, it works. I understand why they can't freeze time, obviously, because it is a server with people, other people besides you, so they can't just pause the whole world. That would be ridiculous. But I think it works very well for what it is, and a lot of people say they would just rather them take it out of the game, but I wouldn't want that. I feel like it still proves pretty useful in most combat scenarios. So VATS is pretty good. Again, gunplay, it feels a lot like Fallout 4's, if not a little better. I do like the new weapon varieties in this game. I really find myself using a lot of shotguns in particular, and those work, I think, the best. The Black Powder pistol has been shown in a lot of gameplay. I've only used it like once, and you can check that out in my MapQuest series. I shoot a Radroach with it, but I only had like one round of ammunition for it, so I haven't gotten a lot of experience with it, but I know that seems to be the one people associate with this game, but really shotguns, I think, are the big one this time around, the one that I use the most anyway. So don't worry, the game isn't all just pipe pistols as well. There's plenty of weapon variety. I know people are also concerned about the level caps on weapons, and I haven't found a huge problem with it, especially with, I'll get into this a little bit later, but carry weight. It does kind of limit you on how many weapons you probably want to carry, as long as you're constantly have junk on you like I do. I'm constantly carrying around a ton of junk to bring back to my base, because I love the base building in this game. I'll save that part, the base building, for another video. But you don't want to be carrying around a ton of weapons with you. So usually if you're like finding like a weapon that's not even usable until like level 35 and you're level like 15, usually I don't feel very heartbroken to drop it, just because I know I won't be there soon enough to really make use of it. But yeah, a lot of times I end up, if I'm near a stash, I end up storing a lot of those weapons. Or if I'm not over encumbered, I'll just teleport and fast travel and put it in a stash and go along with my game. But yeah, so the level cap doesn't really bother me that much. I feel like it does keep the game pretty balanced. And that's another thing. PvP in this game, player versus player, I haven't had much interaction with it, but it does work well. I mean, I'm not a big fan of PvP. It's only when people attack me that I attack them back. I did run into who I'm fairly certain, now that I've played the game for long enough and gotten in a few PvP interactions, pretty certain they were cheating, using some sort of hacks. I'll get into that probably in another video. That was just a weird experience. I've never had that happen ever again, though, so I wouldn't really worry about hackers in PvP. But overall, the PvP system works pretty well. If you want to fight that person, it's pretty easy to go right back in and attack them. But if you don't want to go looking for them, then you can, if you don't want to keep fighting them, you can fast travel anywhere you want. And, yeah, again, the system works pretty well. So if you want to keep fighting, you can keep fighting. If you don't, you can run away pretty easily. Also, there is a hunter and hunted radio station where you and other people who want to PvP can, join in. I have not used it personally, but I've heard it works pretty well. So if you're into PvP, I would use that radio station, because other people are probably not wanting to deal with your shenanigans and will probably just leave the server. So yeah, don't make them mad. Just join the Hunters and Hunted server. You'll be given someone to go and track down, and yeah. So that's it for combat. Let's move right on. Alright, so now we get into the major chunk of this video, so much so that it'll be divided into two sections: solo play and multiplayer play, which is the gameplay section of the video, gameplay is pretty important in a game, and I know combat is included in that, but I feel like it needed its own category. Most of the stuff I'll talk about, like the perk system and stuff, I'll talk about that in solo, but obviously it's applicable in multiplayer as well. But yeah, just so you guys know, and with that, we will go ahead and get into the solo play. Alright, solo play. I know this is a big controversy amongst the game, and the reason why it's mostly picked apart is because people think it's just like Fortnite, but with a Fallout skin. And that's what a lot of solo players are worried about. Now, I don't think this fear is very reasonable, and, well, that's what this whole section is going to be about. Is solo play enjoyable? And I will say yes. If you check out my MapQuest series, I still have a pretty fun time, and, it's just a blast exploring this world. Bethesda did a great job of, designing Appalachia. And, there's so many fun, locations to discover, read their stories, robots to interact with. I know that's another, the big part of the reason why people are like, solo play sucks in this game, is because of the lack of human NPCs, but honestly, I haven't been missing human NPCs. Raiders, the Scorch do an okay job at replacing them. I mean, they have really stupid AI, but they fill pretty much in for the Raiders. I never feel like there's no humans in the game, but I mean, it does feel more desolate. Yes, it's kind of weird not having that place like Diamond City, but I've never had that thought while playing the game. I don't know. I've just never really missed the human NPC aspect of the game. I've had fun just exploring the locations, interacting with goofy robots, and meeting some weird, super mutant traders and stuff. There's plenty of other things and stories, even through notes and holotapes and corpses and everything. There's enough there to really keep you entertained and busy, as I've actually spent probably a majority of my gameplay now playing solo play. I did play most of the beta with multiplayer, but I've played most of this solo play this time around. So yeah, solo play is pretty good. I wouldn't really worry about it. I mean, if you're super I need branching story, I need my story to affect the world around me greatly, then this game, I mean, this game probably doesn't have that for you, and I'm sorry, but it just doesn't. But I mean, again, for most people, if you enjoyed Fallout 4's solo play, which that's the only play it had, you'll probably enjoy the solo play here. If you really like New Vegas's branching story paths, you may not enjoy 76 as much, but it's still got enough there to keep you entertained. So let's see. Also, the perk system. Again, I kind of want to throw this in here into the solo play section because I know a lot of people like builds, and it is very accommodating of builds. You can pretty much change your build on the fly. I do it quite often. If I need a lockpick, I can just simply open up my Pip-Boy, go into the perks and swap out my perk cards, get the lockpicking perk in there, and I'm good to go and unlock the safe. You can do a lot of very quick character changes. And the perk card system does feel very rewarding, especially when you level up. You get that card pack, you get a dumb little joke with it. The perk system works pretty well. I'd say almost better than Fallout 4. I never really found myself caring about much in Fallout 4 as far as character builds go. But in Fallout 76, it does feel a lot more important and a lot more fun to collect these cards. I think Bethesda was really onto something there. It does work very well. Also, I'll go ahead and throw in photo mode. I really like photo mode. I'm constantly taking pictures. I just love, again, the world of Appalachia is so sprawling and beautiful, and I mean, it's just really cool to take pictures at these locations, and when you run into funny things like glitches or whatever, it's cool just to have the camera there with you, and it's fun to take pictures with friends. I know it's multiplayer, but we'll get into that here in a second. But photo mode is a lot of fun. Also, to solo play questing, that's probably a part I should have mentioned earlier, but quests in this game work pretty well. You'll see them pop up on the side of the screen. If it gets to be too much, like that happened to me one time, I was just like, oh my gosh, you can go into your Pip-Boy and disable them pretty easily, and but I do like the rewards you get. You usually get some armor and stuff, or a lot of the special quests. If you go into your menu and you can check quests or whatever, you can the missions. You get atoms, which that's another element of this game. Is the whole you can pay for in-game purchases and stuff. Microtransactions are in this game. But really, I've never found myself wanting to buy atoms because you get them pretty abundantly throughout the game as long as you keep a nice flow of doing stuff and checking that, quest logs in your menu, then it should be pretty easy to rack up a lot of atoms. I mean, I keep using them up, and I think I'm at still 350 right now. So I wouldn't really... I've never found the want to purchase anything from there, so I wouldn't consider that a big fear, is that it's microtransaction heavy. Also, all you can really get is photo mode stuff, camp. It's all cosmetic. There's nothing there. You can't buy a super OP legendary weapon or anything. Everything there is pretty, just cosmetic. It's all cosmetic. You can't get any real benefits from that except just to look really cool. Also, I'll go ahead and talk about the Pip-Boy, because the Pip-Boy does work a little bit differently. It is weird not having the map in the Pip-Boy. You do have to go into your pause screen to do that. So on the PC, hit the escape key, opens up your map. It's not that big of a deal. But also, when you open up your Pip-Boy, it is really hard getting used to, for me, not like the world not pausing around you when you do that. It is very odd not to have the world pause when you go into your Pip-Boy. So you do need to really like get somewhere fairly safe before you can heal up, and that's also why I believe that the favorites wheel is much larger this time around, just because you gotta really quickly go through there, select your thing, heal up really quick, get back out into the fight. Also, weapon durability. I haven't had that much of a trouble with it. My weapons do break here and there, and they're fairly easy to repair. There's not really much there. They're easy. And yeah, so I guess that's about it for solo play and like miscellaneous other things. So I guess I will go ahead and go to the multiplayer, which is what Fallout 76 is all about. Alright, so let's get into the big deal with Fallout 76, and that is, it's a multiplayer, and there are a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but let's go ahead and get the downs out of the way, because I just want to get all the negativity out of the way. I feel like this game has a lot of undeserved negativity, but there are negatives to it, and I want to get into that. So the first negative thing is that there are hackers and people that will just randomly attack you in this game and act like big babies. I've had that happen. There were some guys who I'm pretty sure were hacking that were able to just blow me into the air or one-hit KO me with a punch. That was pretty insane. And then I had one guy who was just trying to like trade with him and like explore the same location, and he started shooting me. And yeah, there are people like that. But positive side, the map is so large that like you hardly run into people unless you're really looking for them. And heck, even when you do run into people, they're usually friendly. I don't find that they're a bunch of babies most of the time. It's just occasionally there are going to be jerks out there, but that's to be expected with an online game. But it's not nearly as abundant as in a game like Fortnite or something where you have a bunch of 12-year-olds like screaming at you. That's not really a thing I run into in Fallout 76. So yeah, I wouldn't really worry about that. Again, I think this is a positive, that the world is so big that you very rarely run into people. But I guess if you do want to run into people, then it is a negative. Take it how you want. You don't run into people all of the time. And then the next thing I want to go ahead and get into is the other negative, which is the whole social menu itself. Boy, oh boy, do I have a problem. Now, it may get fixed in the next patch. I'm recording this on 11/18. The patch goes live tomorrow at like 9 in the morning. So maybe that'll fix this, but the social menu as it is right now is completely broken. A lot of time it won't sync my friends list, and I was just trying to invite my friend Joey to a team so I could record a multiplayer episode, and we can't seem to get it to actually work properly, because it won't, like, I'll invite him, but he won't see the invite, and it just auto-declines it, and vice versa. It's a complete mess, and it's really the thing that's making me angry with this game. And I really hope that Bethesda can get their crap together and get that social menu working, considering, let's go to the positives now, multiplayer is super fun in the game when you're playing with friends, and in fact, I feel like it is the best way to play this game. It's the experiences with the players, with your friends that you really remember, and that's what kind of builds the story in this game. Instead of an NPC telling you what's going on and you making an impact, it's the stories you make with your friends. You can say, hey, do you remember that time that we were chased by a death claw through like White Springs? Hey, you remember that time we went through a Nuka-Cola factory? Remember that time where we were going through an amusement park and testing like rides and stuff? It's those kind of neat little experiences that really are, what make Fallout 76 shine, the multiplayer interaction, and they really did a great job with it. And even when you run across someone random, it's so much fun to go and do a quest with that person, because most of the time they'll just do that or they'll run away. But the multiplayer in this game does work, unless you're trying to go through the social tab, then it's completely a mess. But so yeah, for those who do want a solid multiplayer experience, you want a fun game set in a Fallout world that you can play with your friends, this is a pretty nice way of doing it. So yeah, I guess that's pretty close to where I'm going next, which is my final thoughts on the game. Alright, so it's the final impressions time. I probably put a timestamp here in the description. Remember to do that, future Draven. I'm going to put a timestamp to this. So if you're just coming in now, yes, this is the final impressions section of the video where I say, is Fallout 76 for you or not? So, if you liked Fallout 4, you will really like this game. I highly believe that. I'm a huge fan of Fallout 4, and I have had a ton of fun in this game. Now, I don't know if I like it as much as 4, but it does have a lot of the same elements, and I've had an absolute blast. Really, if you really just love the worlds of Fallout in general, then this game is for you. The world here is absolutely amazing and probably one of Bethesda's best world spaces yet. They've done an absolutely amazing job with environmental storytelling and everything. I mean, it's really, really good. And again, the map is 4 times the size of Fallout 4. There's so much stuff to explore and unpack. It is absolutely amazing. If you're a person who just wants to, go questing with a bunch of friends and just hang out in a Fallout world or just any world in general, this is a good game for you. If you like PvP, this is an okay game for you. I mean, PvP's alright. If you like Fortnite, you might like this game, but probably not as much as people may seem to think. But, I mean, Hunter Radio is probably your best bet when it comes to that. And, yeah, but let's get to the people that will probably not like this game. If you're extremely, huge into branching, huge narratives, and your actions have major consequences on your gameplay, then this game probably isn't for you, as there's really no dialogue options in this game. There's no human NPCs, so that may turn you away. Again, I didn't find the NPC thing that big of a deal, but I know a lot of people might. So then this game probably isn't for you, So yeah, but besides that, I couldn't think of anyone else at this game wouldn't enjoy it. That's really the only group I can think that may have a huge issue with this game. It really is a nice package for everyone to enjoy. Again, unless of course you're looking for that huge narrative. In that case, go back to New Vegas. But yeah, I guess that's it. Make your decision based on that. Take it as you will. Again, I always encourage you to do more research of your own, and don't go into people's comment sections yelling that Fallout 76 is a bad game if you haven't played it. At least try it, or at least get enough into your system to try to decide. And yeah, just have a good time if you get this game, Yeah, positivity all the way. Well, anyway, guys, I will see you all in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe to Draven New Games for more awesome content. And I will see you all later. Goodbye.